I am going to invite our next speaker, who is going to talk about lessons from the EU F-gas regulation, and who is going to take a closer look at the role of policy frameworks in accelerating market transformation towards climate-friendly cooling technologies based on natural refrigerants. And let's welcome Sebastian Schnatz, who is the ozone protection focal point for Germany and the focal point for Germany as an EU member state regarding the EU F-gas policy at the German Federal Ministry for Environment, Climate Action and Nature. Sebastian, welcome. How are you today?
Thank you, Julika, and thank you also for guiding us through the event in this excellent manner. I'm very good, thanks, and welcome, and greetings to all the participants worldwide. I can start with the presentation if I can be heard well.
Yes, thank you, Sebastian. The floor is yours.
Thank you. And also thank to the GIZ and the German Environmental Agency for organizing this great event again this year. I think it's it's a timely event since the growing demand for cooling is crystal clear, and we have to make sure that the transition to a more sustainable, more climate-friendly alternatives happens as fast as possible. And I would like to give you a brief insight in what we are doing in the European Union and what lessons may be or we can maybe learn from the European Union implementation of the F-gas regulation. You may know that since 2 years ago, we have a new F-gas regulation in place, which is now being implemented on the European level and has also effects on the market, of course. And that's what I would like to show you a little bit. Next slide, please. So as I said, we have a new F-gas regulation, and we see the F-gas regulation here as a driver for change. We have a clear and long-term regulatory framework in the European Union with the F-gas regulation. Core element and tool to decrease the HFC consumption in the European Union is the HFC phase out. We have now a phase out. I highlighted it here, because this is new also with the F-gas regulation. We have this quota system, and the availability of HFC declines rapidly in the European Union and will be phased out, the HFCs, by 2050. And already 2030, the amount available for HFCs is shrinking very, very much. And this creates, on the one hand side, the certainty for the market that in the future HFCs are not available, and provides clear market signals. And in addition, we have a second important tool in the F-gas regulation are bans, which are written down in Annex 4 of the F-gas regulation, where we have with the new F-gas regulation also binding F-gas bans, and there are different times or dates of prohibitions for the new equipment that is banned for placing on the market. And this is also new split ACs below 12 kilowatt from 2035 on. There are earlier bans where the threshold is 150, I guess. There will be a strict ban on F-gases for smaller AC splits, and this also guides the market and the technology shift. And here, a big advantage of the European single market is, of course, that we are quite big. And also not only the European manufacturers, but also importers or manufacturers outside of the European Union look at our framework, policy framework, which is in place. Next slide, please. As I said, 2 years the new F-gas regulation, but we have the F-gas regulation with the quota system since 2014 and 15 the quota system. We see that there is, and now especially with the new F-gas regulation, accelerating shift towards natural refrigerants through different equipment categories. We also see, and that's what I also personally experience in discussions with the industry, that there is a strong increase in research and development and product redesign, also looking at the binding rules of the F-gas regulation and what comes in the next year, and they decide already what will be the ban in let's say a few years time, and then they adopt already their technology development. So what we see is a growing available of natural refrigerant-based solutions, especially as discussed today here, R290-based solutions are increasingly available on the market. And we see also in the split sector, it was also mentioned earlier, that there are technology available already. Thank you. Next slide. And I would also like to talk a bit about the role of complementary measures. We have on the one hand side the European regulation. The EU in this field is harmonized, so we have EU-wide rules in place with the F-gas regulation. They apply in every member states, and what we have as a national on a national level as possibilities in addition, and we had or we use it in Germany as well, we can try to also influence the market transition or try to speed the transition up. And here we have, for example, funding schemes in place where we provide additional support for environmental friendly equipment, which is climate friendly and energy efficient, and for example, F-gas free. Example is monoblock heat pump here as well. Next slide, please. I also would like to mention or highlight a little bit the case example heat pumps, where we also saw and still see rapid uptake of R290 monoplug heat pumps in the European market, which is on the one hand side in Germany, triggered by the F-gas regulation, of course, but also by the, as I mentioned before, the complementary measures as funding schemes, which also helped, let's say, to speed up the shift toward more climate-friendly solutions. And for monoblock heat pumps in Germany can be maybe agreed by the audience, but in Germany we see, and I think it's a European trend, that new monoblock heat pumps are mainly, or the vast majority, using R290 as an refrigerant. Thank you. Next slide, please. Yeah, and I also wanted to link the example of the heat pump a little bit, and we can discuss it maybe later with the AC split uptake in the European Union. As I said, we have clear bans upcoming in the European Union, and we have the phase out of HFCs in the European Union, and the market will adapt, and that's my feeling. We will see a similar uptake of F-gas conformed products in the European Union, and we saw it with the heat pumps, and a similar thing I expect for AC split systems when the bans in Annex 4 are getting closer to the prohibition date. And as I said, we have already, and we would like to see more of them, of course. First, split systems entering the market, R290 systems in the European Union. And we could discuss if the European Union may serve as an early regulatory reference market for global transition, as we have the binding bans, for example, for small AC heat pump, AC split systems, in the European Union already as a binding law. So the question is not if, but more how fast and how broadly it will scale, and also if it only affects Europe or if the world market also looks at the European Union as a driver. Thank you. Next slide. That's already my last slide. So what we see in the European Union is that with the F-gas regulation, policy frameworks can shape technology markets and also the shift to more sustainable solutions. Here are helping clear timelines and the combination of bans and, as I said, incentives can accelerate the transformation. And the EU may act as an early reference market for global cooling transition. Thank you. Next slide. And just as also mentioned earlier, introduction that we have this year, the 10-year anniversary of the Kigali Amendment reminds us, as I also said, that we have to, and the science is telling us that we have to, be as fast as possible in the transition to more climate-friendly solutions. And I'm happy that the discussion also is ongoing on the international level under the Montreal Protocol. Thank you very much. And here are my contact details, and feel free to reach out. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sebastian, for your presentation and for being here with us for the Q&A session, which will take place at the end of our session. We are moving from the EU and the German side to a regional approach in Southern Africa, and we will learn about the regional minimum energy performance standards for air conditioners and residential refrigeration appliances. And please welcome Readlay Makaliki, who is an electrical engineer and lead technical expert at the Southern African Development Community Center for Renewable Energy and Energy Efficiency. Welcome, Readlay. Happy to have you here with us today.
Thank you, Julika. And thank you to the participants that have stayed over.
It's our pleasure.
Good afternoon to you all. Yes.
We are going to start your presentation now, and then the floor is yours.
Thank you. So my presentation is entitled Harmonizing Cooling MEPS, Minimum Energy Performance Standards, in the SADC, which is the Southern African Development Community, looking at energy efficiency on one aspect and low global warming potential refrigerants transition. So next slide. Next slide, please. Next slide. Yes, thank you. So before I go deep into the presentation of the minimum energy performance standards, I wanted to share with you ideally what the SADC Center for Renewable Energy and Energy Efficiency is. It's an intergovernmental institution that is established by the SADC energy ministers with a mandate to promote renewable energy and energy efficiency within the SADC region. Looking at the market-based approach. And we cover 16 countries in the Southern Africa. We have 12 in the mainland, starting from South Africa, going all the way up to DRC, as well as United Republic of Tanzania. And then we have 4 islands in the Indian Ocean, which includes Comoros, Seychelles, Madagascar, and Mauritius. So now coming back to today's presentation, in terms of the project scope, United for Efficiency, U4E, United Nations Industrial Development Cooperation Organization, UNIDO, as well as SACREEE collaborated in the development of these MEPS at regional level. So the slides are moving too fast. Maybe just go back to the previous slide. So in terms of this collaboration, the minimum energy performance standards were developed under the umbrella of SADC Cooperation in Standardization, where we established regional technical committees through TC16 at regional level, and then taking this work at national level to the 16 member states through the national MIRA committees, depending on the expertise of the MEPS that we are dealing with, whether refrigerators or air conditioners. Next slide, please. Next slide. I don't see my slides moving at my end because the internet could be slow. Yes. So in terms of the scope of coverage of the MEPS that we're developing, we looked at household refrigerators as well as room air conditioners. For the household refrigerators, we have 3 types, which is the refrigerator, the freestanding one, and then we have the freezers, as well as a combination of the refrigerator and freezer. And we're looking at, in terms of the operating system, a vapor compression system, and the rated volume between 10 liters and up to 1,500 liters. So these are operated from the electrical mains. In terms of air conditioning units, we are looking at a single split unit, as you can see in the picture above there, as well as the window type, which is self-contained, and the portable ones. So for the ACs, what we covered are electrical single-phase, non-ducted, single-split, self-contained portable units, air-cooled ACs, as well as air source heat pumps. Then in terms of rating, we looked up to 16 kilowatts. What is not covered in the standards is the cooling output greater than 16 kilowatts, and then water-cooled air conditioners and water source heat pumps, as well as mount-split ACs and heat pumps. We are also not looking at the ducted equipment. We didn't look at it when developing these MEPS. So next slide, please. It's taking long for my slides to change on my side. Yes, now. So what are the SADC MEPS for cooling products? In terms of saving potential, there was a market assessment that was to the development of these minimum energy performance standards for the cooling equipment, which was led by United for Efficiency, and also U4E led the engagement of the consultant, who was Lawrence Beckley, in the development of these MEPS. So in the market study that was done, it was found that if these MEPS were to be implemented wholly in the SADC region, in terms of savings that would be achieved for electricity, would save about 8 terawatt hours, looking up to the year 2040 cumulatively. And this is equivalent to putting up 4 power stations of 500 megawatt each. In terms of the financial savings, we are looking at saving up to 840 million US dollars in terms of electricity bills, whereas in terms of the carbon footprint, will be eligible, or there's a possibility to save up to 6.5 million tons of carbon dioxide. So these MEPS, we worked through the TC16, like I indicated, under the SADC umbrella. And we are finally, we started in 2021, but we're finally adopted as a regional harmonized text in the November of 2023, and they are split between the refrigerators, the air conditioners. So the air conditioners, SADC HT 110 2023, whereas those for the refrigerators is the SADC HT harmonized text. HT stands for of 111 2025. That's the refrigerators. So we go to the next slide. Next slide, please. In case it's coming, yes, the next slide now is looking at the actual matrix in terms of the MEPS that we developed for both the household refrigerators and room air conditioners. So for the refrigerators, for all the three types, we are looking at the minimum energy performance standards, hoping all member states or some of the member states will start implementing by 2024. We are looking at an R value of, and then going to 2027, we look at an R value of 1.25. Then in terms of the performance for labeling the equipment, these for the refrigerators are split according to the categories. We have the refrigerator, and then we have the freezer and the freezer refrigerator. And these values for the lower limit, we are looking at an R value between 1 and 1.25 on all the categories. And then for the intermediate value, we are looking at an R value between 1.25 as well as 1.50. For the intermediate 2, we are looking at R moving between 1.5 and 1.75. And then the high end, when I think all the member states have had some experience of the implementation, and manufacturers have been accustomed to the MEPS, we are looking at an R value that is greater than 1.75. In terms of the first test methods, we are looking at the IEC 62552 of 2015, part 1, 2, and 3. And then for the refrigerant requirements, I think, which relates now to this webinar, we are looking at the refrigerant requirement being 20 or less for the global warming potential, and also depleting potential of 0. That is for the refrigerators. If we now move on to the air conditioners, the next slide. Yes, so for the air conditioners, in terms of the minimum energy performance standards, we have 3 categories, categorizing them in relation to the cooling capacity. So we are looking for units equal or below 4.5 kilowatt to have a cooling seasonal performance factor of 4.0 in year 1, and then year 2 it moves to 6.10, and then for cooling capacity between 4.5 kilowatt and 9.5 kilowatt, also a cooling seasonal performance factor of 4.20, and then a cooling seasonal performance factor of 5.10. And then the units that range between 9.5 kilowatt and 16 kilowatt, which is the limit, we are looking at a cooling seasonal performance factor in year 1 of 3.8, whereas in year 2, which is 2027, a cooling seasonal performance factor of 4.50. For the portable units, in all the cases, we are looking at the energy efficiency ratio of 310. Take note that in case of the portable units, these are mostly constant drive units, whereas for the ACs, we can have variable speed drive units. For the test methods, we are also looking in terms of the ductless and self-contained units at ISO 5151 and ISO 16350, parts 1, 2, and 3. And then for the cooling seasonal performance factor, cooling only, we also look at ISO 18326. For the portable units, we are looking at, yes, the same ISO 18326. In terms of requirements for the refrigerants, which is the topic for today, we are looking at global warming potential of 750 or less for the ductless split units and an ozone depleting potential of 0. For the self-contained and portable units, we are looking at a global warming potential of 150 or less, as well as an ozone depleting potential of 0. So those are the metrics for the two units, the ACs and the refrigerators. So we go next slide. Ideally, which describes in terms of text what I've presented in the two previous slides. The slide is not moving on my side. Yes, I was indicating that this refrigerant requirement is ideally what I'd described in the bottom of those two tables that we saw in the previous slides. In terms of the requirements for the ozone depleting potential, as well as the global warming potential over a 100-year horizon. So these are the two tables, I think much better in terms of the size of the text now for the refrigerators, 20 or less in terms of global warming potential, and 0 for ozone depleting potential for all types of the refrigerators that we described, the freezers, refrigerators, and refrigerator freezer. And then for the air conditioners, for the self-contained and portable units, a global warming potential of 150 or less, and an ozone depleting potential of 0. So the ductless units also 750 or less for global warming potential, and 0 for the ozone depleting potential. But we note that these MEPS, for the case of the ozone depleting potential, ideally they match the R290 that we are talking about. But in terms of the global warming, ozone depleting potential, we are okay in terms of the 0 that we have. But for the global warming potential, I think as we move, maybe we need to get lesser values. And the last slide, next. Next slide, please. Yeah, when it comes, yes, this is the picture that we got from the market assessment that was done prior to the development of the MEPS, starting from about 2021, 2022, thereabout. We see how the projection of the savings would be for both the air conditioning units and the refrigerating units, hitting a target of about 8 terawatt hours that I mentioned in the second slide as I was presenting by 2040. This, in terms of presentation, I think this should be the last slide because I was asked to reduce the slides to match the 10 minutes that is available for the presentations. But in case of more information, we can provide that information during the Q&A for the additional slides that were removed to match the time limit that was given by GRZ. Thank you so much, Julika.
And now, dear participants, please raise your hand if you want to ask a question directly. And we are going to start with questions coming from the chat. So there was one question to you, Sebastian. I'm going to read it out. So it's great to see R290 air conditioning units in the EU now. Do you have any figures on market penetration?
Thank you also for this question. No, I don't have figures on the market penetration, but if I Google R290 split AC systems, I could order one. And the best option, of course, is not to have an AC split system in Germany, for example, as the climate may not, you don't need one, but in this future or in certain circumstances, you may need one. The best option is, of course, not to have AC split systems, but in the future, we will probably see as I said, the F-gas bans come into place, that we will see more AC split systems that are compliant with the F-gas regulation. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you. Let me ask another question directly to you, Sebastian. What is the number or proportion of qualified technicians trained to handle R290 compared to others?
Oh, good question. I think here in Germany, especially, we are quite good, as we have many technicians that are trained to also handle flammable refrigerants as R290. And in addition, the number in the European Union will also increase as we have a mandatory certification scheme, also with the new F-gas regulation in place, including natural refrigerants as R290, so that it will be mandatory to be trained if you handle R290 systems in the European Union. Thanks.
Yeah. Thank you. Okay, Readlay, I'm going to read out a comment from the chat directed to you. So thank you for your presentation. And this is a fantastic initiative for introducing harmonized MEPS in South and East Africa. Great potential to minimize energy consumption costs and emissions. Let's start with that. And then I have a question for you, Readlay. So do you have data on refrigerant efficiency? Would the use of R290 increase energy efficiency?
Come again with the question. Data on?
Yeah.
Yes, in the market study, what we discovered is that for the AC units, the common refrigerant which was found was R410 for the ACs, as well as R22. Whereas for the refrigerators, there was scanty data, but in countries like Seychelles and South Africa, we found R134A and R600 for the refrigerators in terms of the common refrigerants that are used in the units.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah, thank you. So I see one hand. I'm just going to read out the name that is written here. It's BMUKN. So, BMUKN, I see your hand. If you would like to ask your question directly, you are more than welcome to do so.
Good evening, everyone. I would like to ask about question on the board, gentlemen, about the BTU, the requirements of the BTU and the energy consumption on the board units of the outdoor and the board indoor and outdoor. In some countries, the way you were seeing the refrigerant, like 22, 32, 134, 600. There are some which are not compatible, and there are some which have environment impact, and there are some others which have high consumption of energy. So energy consumption is very high, and energy is not much efficient. So my question is that how can this be how can we be able to work on this one? For example, using the our energy, which we afford like solar energy. Are there other apartment, let's say the units? Are there units for the solar? Did you not talk about the units for the solar energy?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. So green cooling may consist of using solar energy. It's not the focus of this summit, but maybe Readlay or Sebastian, you can just give a glimpse of the possibilities of using solar-powered cooling systems, or maybe refer to another occasion.
Yeah, thank you
Yeah,
for
like
that question. Oh, sorry.
Yeah,
Sorry.
go ahead.
Yep, go ahead, Sebastian, and then Readlay.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, in general, I mean, that's a very important question and point. And the energy consumption of cooling is, in addition to the impact of the refrigerant, of course, the most potentially carbon intense issue. So it is very much needed to think how can we contribute electricity for cooling that is not contributing to climate change. And there, I think the solar power for cooling is very important. And I think there also the GIZ had already projects in partner countries to develop technologies that could provide cooling without connectivity to the grid, for example. Thanks.
Thank you. Readlay.
Yes, the response was going to be that in the MEPS that we developed, we looked at units that are AC operated. For off-grid systems that maybe using solar or other types of renewable, I don't have the exact information on that. And maybe we could come later to you once we review the MEPS that we did. But for now, they are only restricted to units that are operated on the connection to the grid.
Yeah, okay.
Otherwise, maybe if you have an off-grid system and then you generate power through the PV panels, which is converted to the AC, I'm sure the units would be able to operate, yes.
Okay, yeah, thank you very much. So we have 3 hands, and I would like you to enter the stage, Amadou Thiam, and then you can ask your question, and it would be much appreciated if you could keep it short for us to leave the other ones the possibility to ask the questions. Welcome, Amadou Thiam. You can ask your question now. Let's see if it works. Are you with us, Amadou? Maybe we move over to Mark, and then Amadou, we will give you the chance in a second. Mark.
Hello.
Yes, hi.
Hello. Hello, guys. I had a problem with my connection. So the question that I would ask is, how can we do in order to spray the market with the R290?
Can you just repeat the question, please?
I say, how can we do in order to make more fluent the refrigerant R290 here in Africa? For example, here in Senegal, we are seeing the market. We only see the air vendor refrigeration and air cuts 110.
Okay.
This is what we are seeing the most.
Okay.
Mainly, I haven't worked with the R290 with the green gases. We haven't seen it yet. So
Okay.
here we have only HVAC refrigerant, which is not good for the global warming.
Yeah, Amadou, thank you so much for your question and thank you for being here at the Green Cooling Summit. And
Yes.
Readlay, maybe you would like to answer Amadou's question because, yeah.
Yes, thank you, Julia, and thank you for that question. From our perspective, SACREEE is a member of the, if you saw my first slide, the Global Network of Sustainable Energy Centers. So we have these various institutions covering various regions within Africa. So the one he has mentioned, Senegal, falls in the SACREEE. There's the center in West Africa, whose secretariat is based in Cape Verde. We have now started working with them on the project called Energy Efficiency for Sustainable Livelihoods in Africa. So among the objectives and outcomes of this project is the transformation of the markets into energy efficiency for the three regions that I've talked about. So we have now 36 countries on the program, including SADC and ESC. And from the MEPS that we developed as SADC and ESC, we are trying to harmonize them with the West African colleagues at SACREEE. And also we are going further to develop other MEPS apart from cooling. I think we are doing industrial motors. We are also looking at now commercial refrigeration, because the MEPS that we've just shared with you here, we are MEPS for room air conditioners and household refrigerators. So we are now we're still collaborating with United for Efficiency to develop MEPS now for commercial refrigerators. These are the ones you find in the supermarkets and the shops. So what is needed, I think, for this proliferation of the R290 across Africa is now the national adoption and implementation. Because we are harmonizing the MEPS, if we adopt them maybe consistently as member states within Africa, then we'll be ring fencing the incoming of the inefficient, the refrigerants that are dangerous to the environment that we have highlighted to phase out in the MEPS that I've just shared with you. So the first step, I think, is national adoption and developing regulations for their implementation so that they become law. Because if we just adopt them as voluntary MEPS, then we'll not be doing anything. I think the savings that are indicated that we projected in the market assessment would not be achieved if these are just adopted as voluntary MEPS. For the case of SADC, there are some that have moved towards mandatory implementation of these MEPS. The first one is Mauritius. By 2017, using the EU regulations, they were implementing MEPS for refrigerators as mandatory. Now, by last year, in March, there was a government gazette that indicated the mandatory implementation of the MEPS for cooling, which I shared with you. And they gave a 6 months period for the market to phase out the inefficient ones. And by September last year, the MEPS for cooling, which I just shared with you, are mandatory in Mauritius. Yes. South Africa is also undergoing the same process, and the rest of other countries also are doing the same. Yeah. With the support of also GIZ, there's a separate program known as COOPSA, which is the cooling program for Southern Africa. And the countries involved include Namibia, Botswana, South Africa, and Eswatini. They are also getting support for national implementation of the MEPS that we have developed under the ELA program with the support of U4E. Yeah, so thank you for pointing that out. Yes. And I see that in the chat, somebody already posted the ELA project. So thank you very much for that.
And just to make sure that all of you are going to receive the presentations, and feel free to download all the information you need and get in touch via the network. I would like to invite Javan on the virtual stage. Yeah, Readlay, I see your hand. I just want to make sure.
Just one addition I want to make. So under this ELA program, we developed what we are calling the e-learning platform. It's an online platform with some pre-recorded training modules. So there's a specific module looking at cooling, which was as a result of the MEPS that we developed for refrigerators and air conditioners. So it's looking at the Montreal protocol, the refrigerants, how you can harness them and how you can recycle them. So I can share with you the link. It's free to interested participants. You can just join by indicating your email address and creating your password. Then you get access to this platform and you can go through the pre-recorded modules.
Okay, thank you very much. And welcome, Javan. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much. I'm calling from Kenya, and we are beneficiary of JZ programs. My question goes to all of us, which we need to think, because the way we are looking at how the refrigeration sector is affecting the environment, we are looking on two things: direct, end of life, and indirect, that is the energy sources. But then the total life cycle of the refrigerant, we need to go back to the processes. As currently it is carbon intensive in nature, how we are producing these refrigerants, and more particular, the hydrocarbons in question. So is it right time now, to the panelists, please respond to this. Is it right time now we also look at how are we producing the refrigerants that we consume? Because they are carbon intensive. They are from petroleum refining. That's the whole process. That's when we have the refrigerants. So is it high time we focus of looking at, can green hydrogen be a solution? This is the question to the panelists. Is it high time that we should rethink the production process of the refrigerant that we consume in the market? Thank you.
Thank you very much for your contribution. Sebastian, would you like to comment?
Yeah, thank you for this very good question. I think it's a valid one, but it not only should be asked to, let's say, natural refrigerants or R290, but also other alternatives where the production should be looked at, the production of those refrigerant, how carbon intensive or environmental damaging those processes are. So this is a good question, and we should look at these processes in my view. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you very much. And thank you, Javan, for your vivid participation. And now I would like to invite Sohair Landusli to join us and ask your question. Hello. Wait, you have to give us 1 second to give you the right to speak. We cannot hear you. I'm so sorry. Just wait 1 second. No, yes, no, still, we can't hear you. I'm so sorry. We cannot hear you.
Est-ce que je peux poser ma question en français?
Non, oui, ok, oui.
Ok. D'accord. Ma question, c'est un petit peu concernant techniquement la GIZ ou bien les organismes. Est-ce qu'ils peuvent subventionner les recherches? Par exemple, est-ce qu'on peut utiliser des équipements avec détente indirecte pour les réfrigérants inflammables? Et d'adapter les équipements existantes, surtout dans le froid commercial, les équipements en HFC, en hydrocarbures, en étudiant le rendement frigorifique et l'efficacité énergétique avec le minimum de changement. Merci.
Okay, merci bien, merci bien. So, Sebastian, I saw you nodding, so please give us a summary of this question and answer it. Thank you.
Okay, just my French is quite poor, but maybe you cannot, if I understood you correctly, is if retrofitting is possible if we change only minor things in the system and change the refrigerant. Is that more or less the question? And here I don't know. I'm also not an expert, but it may be possible in certain cases that you can change the equipment so that a different refrigerant can be used in an existing system. But our experience in Germany and the European Union is that this is not often be done. So that the system is or was developed for a certain refrigerant which fits exactly to the equipment where it was used for. So retrofitting is not often experienced in the European Union, if that was the question. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much. We are already heading to the end of this session, and I would like to invite you, Mark, to re-enter and ask your question. So, Mark Vonu, let's try if we can hear you now. Okay. Mark, please ask your question now. Otherwise, we have to refer you to the chat to ask your question. I'm so sorry, Mark. And I would like to give the word to Alex Pachai. Welcome, Alex. You may speak now. Let's see if it works. If it does not work, just take the last seconds to write down your question in the chat, and we will have one last try with Wolfgang Zaremski. Let's move over to Wolfgang Zaremski, and then I will take one last look in the chat and see what is left there.
I think Wolfgang had posted his question in the chat and he referred it to me. He was asking if there are MEPS for condenser units, and if not, when are they coming? I think for this one, I'll need to come back. I don't have the right information at the moment. So maybe if you can drop his email address in the chat, then we can communicate.
Okay, perfect. Wolfgang, maybe you feel free to write down your email, or when receiving Readlay's slides, you can have his email or connect via another platform, which I'm not going to mention right now. So let me take a last look at the chat and let me know which question I should transfer to our dear speakers right now. And if there's no question left that is referred to me, we are going to say thank you very, very much, Sebastian Schnatz and Readlay Makaliki, for joining in our session and joining the Green Cooling Summit today.